What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Danganronpa. Happy Trigger Havoc.
Sayaka. She's the one who came to the dining hall. And then later, she wound up dead.
Sayaka? Okay, so the person who took the knife from the kitchen was... Monokuma.
A gun! Then
Sayaka is the one...
Sayaka is the one who took the knife?
Sorry, guys. I'd rather let them do their own voice acting.
That's the only possibility. And thinking back on it, she was acting kind of unusual. When she came into the dining hall, she didn't even look at us. She just went straight to the kitchen. As she left, she said she just wanted a drink of water. But most likely...
The person who took the knife was the victim herself.
I'm sure she just took it for self-defense.
So you're saying the knife she took was then taken from her, and she was killed with it? In that case, you may not have taken the knife, but you still could have killed her.
What?
See? He did do it after all!
No, you're wrong.
So, that's how you would twist the argument and send us all off in the wrong direction? You possess a most terrifying talent.
Damn, if I don't do something, they're gonna blame me for the murder. Don't they understand? If they convict me, everyone's gonna die.
Hold on. It's still too early to decide conclusively that Makoto is the killer, wouldn't you say? Because you see, if the room did belong to the killer, then they did something most bewildering. And until we unravel that little mystery, you simply can't declare that he's the killer.
Bewildering? What the hell are you talking about?
Something was missing from the scene of the crime that by all rights should have been there. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Your first Hangman's Gambit is about to begin. Would you like to know more? Abso-fuck-a-lutely! As things advance further in a class trial, the Hangman's Gambit will eventually take place. The point of this is to reveal an important phrase related to the incident in question. You'll have to deduce the phrase from the letters flying around and the letters already known. What? Complete the phrase by shooting down the flying letters in the right order. Use the left stick to aim and press triangle to shoot down the desired letters. Shoot the desired letters. If you shoot down the wrong letters, you'll suffer damage to your influence gauge. If this gauge reaches 0, or if you run out of time, you fail. Well then, good luck and have fun. Fuck, I can't spell to begin with. Something that should have been at the scene but wasn't. Must be a crucial point. We can just figure out what that something is. Ooh.
Now I understand.
Yay, simple 4-letter word.
That's right. There wasn't a single hair on the floor.
So, the culprit removed some evidence?
Yes. And if I were the culprit, why would I need to get rid of all the hair in my own room? It wouldn't be unusual at all to find my hair at the crime scene if the crime scene is in my room.
The reason all the hair was gone was to remove any trace that Sayaka had ever been there. That makes sense, does it not?
No. If that were the case, they would have had to do something about the body itself, not just her hair.
Yes, very true, very true.
Okay, then why wasn't there any hair on the ground?
The killer got rid of it all, of course, to remove any trace that they had ever been there.
Wait, then that means...
Precisely. It's simply beyond reason to believe that the room's owner and the killer are one and the same.
Then, Makoto isn't the culprit?
Are you sure we can decide something so important based solely on the absence of some hair?
No. There are other reasons that prove why Makoto couldn't have done it.
I would like to hear these reasons.
Do you remember anything remarkable about the bathroom at the scene? Sayaka was attacked in the main room first, then fled into the bathroom. right?
Yeah, then they ran after her, got into the bathroom, and stabbed her.
And how did the killer get into the bathroom? Did they have any trouble with it?
What do you mean?
It's fairly certain that the killer had some trouble getting into the bathroom. There was clear evidence left behind. Do you remember, Makoto?
The killer struggled to get into the bathroom, and the evidence that proves it is the object the killer broke.
I got it! Evidence that the killer had trouble getting into the bathroom. You're talking about the doorknob, right?
Huh? The doorknob? What doorknob?
The doorknob for my bathroom. It was completely broken. See how the top part was unscrewed? And the doorknob's about ready to fall off?
Oh, yeah, true. But what does it mean?
In trying to bypass the lock, they ended up nearly removing the entire doorknob. This is another most bewildering act for the room's owner. It proves Makoto is beyond suspicion.
So what? You're saying he wouldn't break the door in his own room? But if the only choice you have is to break it, you break it. There's nothing bewildering about it.
You still don't see? Okay then, let's take another look at how the incident unfolded.
Kyoko said it was a bewildering act. I almost didn't notice it at first, but is that the key point here? There's a bit more to learn. Oh, yes, absolutely, man. What? Why is there so much? From here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up. But no matter how many weak spots there's essentially only one lie or contradiction in the debate. But what I'm trying to say is not all weak spots you see are necessarily false. Use a truth bullet on the wrong one, and not only will you fail to refute what they say, but you'll also lower your trust with everyone, and your influence gauge will take damage. Now this is important because if your influence gauge reaches 0, you fail. You'll have to rely on your own logic to determine which weak spots are actually lies or contradictions. Fuck it.
The incident took place in Makoto's...
Sayaka was first, she then fled into the...
Then the killer ran, and they got into the back. At that point, they killed because Sayaka had locked it.
And finally,
Oh.
Finish the job.
It was you! We already know the answer.
Sayaka had locked it.
It only took me 3 fucking tries.
The reason my bathroom didn't open wasn't because it was locked. After all, the girls' rooms are the only ones with locking bathrooms, right?
Yes, now that you mention it.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
Yup, true as true can be. But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door, that's not lucky at all.
So the reason the door didn't open was just because it was stuck. But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place? Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
The killer was convinced the bathroom door was locked. They didn't know the door actually couldn't be locked. In other words, the important detail about the scene of the crime that they didn't know was the crime took place in my room.
I got it! The killer must not have realized that it was my room.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know where he was? That's inconceivable.
And yet, he's absolutely right.
Say what?
Well, to be more specific, what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms, which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom.
Then there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through.
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
Ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force or simply by accident. But the killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Regardless, it was a pointless act. Wasting time trying to break down a door that wasn't locked is...
Definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
That is a definite possibility.
So the killer would have to be someone who didn't know they'd switched rooms? Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Okay, then who did do it?
I'm sorry, but I give up! Quit without saving!
But what happens if we can't decide on who we think did it?
Well, why don't we just vote right now? Majority rules!
Majority rules? You really think that's a good idea?
Yeah, our necks are on the line here. Someone seriously needs to do something. For serious.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Oh,
you don't gotta sound so
It's fine, it's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, how did the culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
Then, maybe someone picked the lock?
Negative! If you remember, Monokuma made it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
Fine. How about this? The killer got in the easy way. They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Miss Maizono just let him in.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh, trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place. Hello? Why exactly can't that be it?
Because she asked me to do something particular because of how frightened she was. That's the answer right there. There's no way Sayaka let someone in because...
I got it! Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
The same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open your door for anyone. Even if I'm sure it's you, I absolutely won't open it. Otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
What if her being scared was a lie?
Huh? Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the possibility?
There's something I want to talk to you about. Just us two. 5 minutes. Come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil, and these are the words that appeared.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that on detective shows. When you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch over the next sheet of paper, and you can see the words. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surprisingly useful sometimes. Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
Huh?
Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No, I didn't.
Of course you didn't, because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then that note, Sayaka wrote it?
But why? Why would she write that?
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
but can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
Huh? What makes you say that?
Would you like to hear what I have to say? Very well then. Pay attention. Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct? But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in.
Good thing I missed the first one.
The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name. And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
There's only one person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person who knew we had switched rooms.
I got it! Me and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was...
You can also infer as much from her note.
There's something I want to talk to you about. Just us two, 5 minutes. Come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate. She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
Alright folks, this is KB Syndrome signing off. And as always, stay sane.